In only half a century, man has mastered the air. His world is shrinking. This is the first supersonic airliner carrying airline passengers into the deep blue world of astronauts and test pilots. It is called Concorde. The world's cities will be linked at new speeds. Athens will become a neighbor of New York and Tokyo. Beirut and back will be a day trip for Europe's businessmen. The Atlantic crossing will take just over 3 hours. Australia will lose its isolation. In today's high-pressure world, speed is comfort. Speed is time saved. Speed means business, and Concorde delivers speed. Concorde fulfills the worldwide demand for faster travel. In 1909, Blériot showed the time advantage of flight, crossing the English Channel in 40 minutes. Within a few years, the first airlines went into the speed business. Comfort came later. Passengers braved the bumpy ride at 100 miles an hour to get places fast. Navigation was primitive. The pilot sat outside, following railway lines. As speed and comfort improved, so did business. By 1935, a day's travel got you as far as Athens, 3 times faster than the Orient Express. Stately flying boats flew to India in only 6.5 days, Australia in 12. By the 1940s, the Constellation bridged the Atlantic itself in an exhausting 18 hours. Passenger traffic soared. Then came the jets, heralded by Britain's Comet. Timetables were scrapped, old airliners too. Today's jumbo jets cross the Atlantic in under 7 hours. 400 million people travel by air every year, and the demand is still growing. The clean lines of Concorde bring the efficiency of speed to an expanding world market. Every increase in speed costs a massive effort, and Concorde is the boldest advance, crossing the barriers of sound and heat in one leap, taking 25 years of research, occupying some men half their working lives. The decision to build Concorde was far-sighted. The technical breakthrough was well beyond the resources of any one nation. Britain and France joined forces. In 1962, a formal treaty was signed to bring Concorde into being, committing both nations to Europe's biggest technological enterprise. Toulouse, 10 years later, the fully fledged version of Concorde rolls out. It has been built across frontiers of language and tradition, giving Europe an industry of continental scale. Yet this graceful machine conceals complex aerodynamics based on the elegant simplicity of the paper dart, which gives stability and lift at all speeds, ideal for a supersonic airliner. Once the speed of sound was thought to be an impassable barrier. Test pilots died learning its secrets. Powerful swept-wing fighters broke through, but designing a 170-ton airliner to fly faster than sound was a project of a very different order. But still the principle of the paper dart applied. The secret, in fact, was the thin delta wing, successfully used in the Fairey Delta research plane that broke the world speed record in 1956. It carried one man at more than 1,000 miles an hour. Concorde was to carry over 100, half as fast again. The thin delta produces rolls of air which curl over the wing, giving it a unique stability in all flight conditions. The design of Concorde had to be proved in practice with small research planes, courting every disaster known to pilots. Concorde pilots, like John Cochrane, owe much to the supersonic test pilots who flew before them. Concorde test aircraft 002 will never see airline service. It's being used to fly Concorde to its limits in all kinds of weather. She will be the most thoroughly tested civil aircraft ever.
And the light winds and clear skies over Fairford area and a lot of the West Midlands and southern England has produced quite a lot of fog.
Every day, the Concorde rolls out to take the air from its British or French base.
The takeoff is scheduled for without auto stabilization, so it'll be, and it's a fairly heavyweight takeoff as far as I remember. We're up around the maximum. So if there were an engine failure on takeoff, we would select the pitch auto stab back on again, because I don't really think that we would want to couple an engine cut takeoff or an engine out takeoff with
002 prepares for takeoff. Radar tracking stations and standby airfields are alerted.
Takeoff without the auto stab, and we'll climb up to about 5,000 feet and commence a performance climb with engines 1, 2 and 3 in reheat and number 4 engine shut down, 360-degree turn at 250 knots before we get on with the rest of the program.
The prototype is loaded with 12 tons of electronic gear and 80 tons of fuel.
Clear taxi, 28 left, 220, 6 knots.
0021015, and we'll call it 08 off the
Reckons 15 minutes past the hour for takeoff.
Roger, 002.
No, just leave the vibrator. No, you probably don't really want to. That just makes a noise on the vibrator for this sort of flight.
002, you clear takeoff, 230, 7 knots.
Yeah.
002 climbs on full power into her natural element. The prototype engines belch smoke, but the production engines will be clean and quiet. With heat shield and nose raised, Concorde takes on the profile of a rifle bullet to fly beyond the speed of sound.
Roger, 002. Good radar contact, and you're just entering the northeasterly to the line of land.
As Cochrane climbs through the sound barrier, the shock waves of supersonic flight are dispersed high over the sea. In service, Concorde will fly supersonic only on special routes, such as over oceans and wastelands. At 30,000 feet, Cochrane cuts an engine. Automatic systems take over, and 002 continues to climb. There are massive resources of power at the pilot's fingertips. 4 Olympus engines, built by Rolls-Royce and Snecma, are a complex array of ducts and tubing which distill a massive thrust from simple paraffin. 4 engines produce enough power to drive 8,000 family cars. For all its power, the Olympus must be a quiet engine. New techniques of noise control are being developed. When Concorde enters service, it will be no noisier than most of today's jetliners. As the aircraft reaches 1,400 miles an hour, it's flying itself. Controls and systems are highly developed. Computers provide it with automatic reflexes. An airline pilot can be trained to fly Concorde in just 6 hours.
I nearly got you, didn't I?
You got me, I nearly got you.
I got course. Great. Super. We just got
You just hold it for me a minute, Johnny,
Yeah,
till I get
okay.
this thing connected up. Try and use this for them.
Airline captains have already flown the early prototypes and found it a safe and simple aircraft to fly.
That inertia navigator in front of you with that alert light. You see the knob just above where your finger was? It's switched to manual. Manual. Switch it to auto. Okay? Thank you. Now. Yes, that's it. Very good. Thank you.
Just making an alteration of heading.
At 40,000 feet, the outside air temperature is far below zero. The Concorde's skin is hot enough to fry an egg. This is the heat barrier, one of the toughest obstacles to supersonic flight.
We're heading for about 5 point.
At these speeds, the plane is heated by the friction of rushing air. Leading edges reach temperatures above 100 degrees centigrade. New aluminium alloys have conquered this heat barrier. They stand up to the high temperatures and have at least 12 to 15 years of operational life. Panels used for supporting high loads in the wings and skin are milled out of solid blocks by computerized machines. For really hot spots in the nose and engines, titanium is used, a tough, unyielding metal, best cut by laser beam. To achieve high precision, new welding techniques are used with powerful electron beams. Concorde cruises twice as high as Everest. Radar etches the flight path 300 miles ahead. At these heights, Concorde comes into its own. Concorde is the first airliner to spend most of its flying hours on the edges of the stratosphere. It carries sophisticated laboratory equipment for research into the upper atmosphere. Precise measurements are recorded to establish that Concorde will not damage this rarefied environment. Each trip produces a mass of detailed information. It's processed and stored at the flight test centers as a complete record of the aircraft's development. At these altitudes, tests have shown that engine pollutants are infinitesimal, and the Concorde's condensation trail is almost pure water. The flight crew are just the first rank of a huge army of designers and technicians. They are the elite of the French and British labour force working on the project. Bristol, with its strong aviation tradition, is the British Concorde Centre. Here, a Delta fleet is taking shape. To link production centres in Bristol and Toulouse, a guppy is used, a sort of flying whale, which carries parts across Europe. Concorde is an international plane in every detail. British Aircraft Corporation make the nose, tail, and part of the fuselage. Aerospatiale of France makes the rest of the body and the wings. Feedback from the flight tests is turned into practical action. Hosts of modifications are essential in the continuous process of building an airliner. There are 500 British and French companies involved in building Concorde. Anglo-French cooperation is now tangible, not just treaties and promises, but air links and computer lines. British technicians are on shift work 600 miles away in the heart of France. The instructions are in French, but the plans are the same. A part made in Bristol fits perfectly a part engineered in Toulouse. At the end of its mission, Concorde decelerates. Another mission over. 2 more hours have been removed from the 4,000-hour test flight target. The engineers and ground crew close in to examine every point of 002. In a few hours, it will be prepared for another flight. The flight recorders will be reloaded. The recorded tapes will be analyzed. But computers will not tell the whole story. Cochrane and his crew will describe how well the plane handled, how it flew. They'll bring their seat of pants judgment to the test results.
Ready for the passengers and alarm for the flight, and the proceed immediately.
Concorde will be in regular airline service in 1975. BOAC has ordered the first of its fleet, which will fly an express worldwide service. Air France has followed suit. China, too, has placed orders to link the far-flung parts of its huge landmass. Concorde, forecasting its future, is being flown on journeys far away from its European test base. In the summer of 1972, it flew across the world. The Concorde builders were looking for orders. They found them in Iran. A supersonic airliner based in Tehran can dramatically shorten the historic routes between Europe and Asia. Thousands of miles from its base, Concorde proved a reliable aircraft in all climates. The Far East, on the other side of the world, where life travels at a traditional pace. Fast turnaround is essential if a supersonic is to reach its peak efficiency in airline service. Checks and refueling were completed in 45 minutes. Concorde has been designed for use at airports anywhere around the world. At Singapore, Concorde slipped into the regular flight pattern of the airport with a minimum of trouble. From Europe to Singapore would take just 12 hours by supersonic express, and the great Asian port could become the center for Far Eastern supersonic flight. An idea which interested Lee Kuan Yew, Prime Minister of Singapore. Then on to Tokyo. Here, in the industrial center of the Far East, Japan's businessmen are very interested in Concorde. Their industrial links with Europe and America are continuously growing. Fast travel will help them grow faster. Then Sydney, 13,000 miles from home. In the supersonic age, Australia will be reached in just over half a day. The 24-hour world is a reality. It's a long way from the simplicity of a paper dart. Britain and France have built Concorde together in the belief that each revolution in power and structure has brought an increase in speed. And speed brings the world community closer together, which gives Concorde a very special importance, far beyond that of any ordinary airliner.